and panics as he realized that you've broken into the house. Please, please, please don't kill me. I'll give you anything you want. He takes a bag and pours all the silver out. I'll give you money, women, wine, supplies, anything you need. Please don't kill me, please.
Kill him.
Your NPC looks and says, it's possible he might have information.
Oh, information, you say? I'll make him sing for you.
Hello, YFNDM here today. We are talking about character alignments. Today I have joining me...
Not your average con.
And...
I'm the architect.
So, today, aside from that impromptu session of, impromptu-ness, what we're going to be talking about is the differences between good, evil, and how everything in between, how to play it in a way that makes sense and is cohesive with the party. I fear that many times when people pick specific alignments, they have issues with how to roleplay it in a way that gets along with the party as a whole. So, starting off, let's go to the absolute end of depravity, or good, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to start with the architect here.
Well, I mean, as far as chaotic nature and all that goes, mainly neutral characters myself. Realistically, when you're playing neutral chaotically, or neutral evil rather, you're kind of out for yourself and the people that can benefit you as well. And I mean, realistically, for instance, with my current character and all of that, we recently had an encounter with spider webs running into a drake and all that, underground, underdark, and we just picked up a new NPC. Well, being the character that I am, I threw dust of sneezing and choking in his face and tripped him for, so the drake could eat him and we could get away in a reasonable amount of time. But realistically, you just want to live. You don't really care about anybody else for that matter unless they're useful and they can help you accomplish that. Realistically, you're just out for yourself, and you'll do whatever you can to
Make that happen.
Exactly. Or that's the way that I play it anyways. Having said that, the party doesn't really take, offense to this because he's not just out for himself. He is, at the same time, keeping others alive so that he can keep himself alive, which is probably the biggest part of, my character role-playing currently.
And I would think how to play neutral evil appropriately, especially, is, the fact that he realizes there's strength in numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And also, well, frankly, this gun saved my life when I was running away from a bear. I shot my friend. That kind of thing.
Yep. I mean, again, realistically, the only reason that he was able to get away with sacrificing an NPC, named NPC party member, was because they were new to the party. And, he was trying to protect the original party members. And, again, that I feel like has to do with respect in general for the people that have been around you for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Priorities, but yeah, other than that, that's just kind of the way that I play my more chaotic neutral characters. They really swing either way, just depending on the situation. You kind of have to play both the good guy and the bad guy, just depending on the scenario. It's a little bit more complicated in that sense, I feel.
Yeah.
Well, what about the situation where I had a chaotic good paladin, and who was a drought, and his probably most up-to-date neutral character would be a Kenku, Birdman. At one point, in order to ascertain information.
This situation.
In order to ascertain information.
By the way, I'm the DM for these two bozos.
So in order to ascertain information from a captive enemy, I tried to go about it in a good manner. I tried forcefully, mind you, because I'm chaotic.
Give me the information you might want. No, go to hell. Starts foaming at the mouth because he's chewed on a suicide tooth, and he goes, no, lay on hands. You're not getting out of that too easily.
And to that, at that point in time, my chaotic good individual said, well, I'm about to cross a line here. If I do it myself, I'm crossing a line as a good character. However, I do happen to know a neutral character. So, when I saved that individual from death, because I'm good, I looked over to my good friend the Kenku, who is an absolute murderess. Looked over to him and said, one moment. My dear friend, I've saved you from life and death. And clearly you don't want to talk to me. But maybe you want to talk to my good friend the Kenku. Doesn't speak very much, but I'm sure you two will have an avid conversation. At which point my character left the scene, and the Kenku, who is neutral and is able, like the architect just said, swing both ways as far as alignment goes, walked up and then proceeded to what?
Torture him. I'm gonna censor this right now. You started torturing him, and because Kenku speak in mimicry, I gave him an additional bonus to the intimidation, because not only was he cutting apart his hands, but every time the poor drow screamed, the Kenku mimics the screams exactly right back in his ear, just to make sure he's good and scared, as well as in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
That was one of the darker moments we've had, and we've had some dark moments. Every D&D group does.
Zoom in.
By the way, the cameraman is Sir not appearing in this film. I swear he's a changeling. It's different every time.
It does. Every time.
So yes, chaotic good, neutral evil in the current campaign. But you are not a good player normally.
No, I'm certainly not.
You are a lawful evil character through and through.
As my name suggests, not your average con. I tend to play a lawful evil character fairly well, if not, well, some would say perfect.
I would dare say you're the best lawful evil character I've seen played, no matter what situation we're in.
And that's really the key, is the situation. With lawful evil, you play the long game. Every action you do has to benefit yourself. It's purely selfish. It really is. It is purely selfish. And in order to justify that with going along with a large party, like my good friend the architect said here, being with a party means survival. So, to justify that, that's how you justify how your lawful evil character is with a party that may not be of the same alignment. But, like I just mentioned, it is about the long game. Now, for example, one of the very first times I played with not your friendly neighborhood DM here was I played a lawful evil sorcerer.
Yes, I remember Talaris Kargor, or as we called him, Tully, affectionately.
Affectionately. He earned that affection.
Yes, he did.
Now, if I may.
Yeah, go for it, man.
One of the most evil, sadistic things I did, first right off the bat. Now, I will tell you the story, and then I will explain the long game of it.
Yes.
And how it correlates with being lawful evil. So this character came into the campaign shortly thereafter the party was attacked by werewolves. One of said werewolves lost his hand. Werewolf hand then turns into a human hand. Now, being lawful evil, I have no morals. I have no compulsion to do anything that would be seen as sane. But it is sane because there's thought behind it. Now, Tully, who we just mentioned as the character's name, walked out of the hut that early morning after the werewolf fight, finds the said severed hand, picks it up, looks at it. Unbeknownst to the party at the very moment, he takes out a flail knife.
A fillet knife, yeah.
And begins flaying the hand perfectly. I actually happened to roll a nat
20 at it. It's the only reason I gave it to you.
I began cutting the hand, skinning it, in such a way that it would later become a glove. This glove, that act in itself is pure evil.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Taking a dead body, desecrating a corpse, cutting the hand into a glove so it can fit into my own hand. Tully then put on the hand on the glove and it fit perfectly.
It fit like a glove.
It fit like a glove. Now,
I say it was quite handy.
It was.
It was actually quite handy.
And here's why. Here again is the example of the long game. When I skinned the hand as myself, as not your average con, I had a plan for this. I skinned the hand, wore the hand as a glove. Obviously not every day, that would be disgusting. But I put it in the back pocket. Later on in the campaign, we came upon an unknown object. No one was willing to touch it with their bare hands. I, however, had a glove. I used said glove that I skinned from a desecrated corpse and picked up the unknown object. Never touched it with my own skin. Completely be rid of the caution of poison, curses, or otherwise ill effects.
Which makes me wonder, do magical items read fingerprints?
They're not mine.
So with Tully, that gets into one of the most amazing character interactions I have ever seen in a D&D campaign. We actually are in the second time of running Out of the Abyss. The first time I had a campaign that I led into to introduce a group of about 5 people to D&D, played an NPC, killed off the NPC in such a way that it actually made someone cry, and it was absolutely beautiful. And then what happened was Not Your Average Con took over, and he put us in the Out of the Abyss, and I ended up playing a chaotic good character by name of Davy Gam, cleric of Tretherion. Now the thing about Tully is that one of the party members was a half-drow, and if you're familiar with Out of the Abyss, it is the Underdark campaign. Drow are everywhere, and Tully knows, oh crap, I'm a male drow who knows magic, this is going to be problems. So Tully starts recruiting allies immediately.
The long game. Once again, it didn't require that these allies met my own alignment, although it was convenient when they did. But I didn't go around killing everything in sight. Mind you, lawful evil is not stupid evil.
I think lawful evil is probably the most intelligent of any of the alignments.
Yeah, exactly. I think the best way to describe lawful evil... Politicians, but more importantly, and actually more iconically, would be your Darth Sidious or Emperor Palpatine.
Yes, if you're familiar with your Star Wars lore, Palpatine does not take power. He figures out a way so that all of the Galactic Senate gives him the power. That is, that's actually a perfect example of lawful evil. So what I want to get into is Davy Gam and Tully's relationship, because Tully was serving a half-drow, your dearly beloved's character, and she was going. We're all following, and he's playing a character that gets in someone's face, starts intimidating, and she says back off, and he goes, "Yes, mistress," and backs off immediately. That's good role playing. Okay, and that's the thing is, while we have these dice and all these miniatures and boards and props, the thing about this game is it's the world's best role-playing game, not role-playing game. So, play your character. Don't stick to your sheet so much that it impedes your ability to actually allow your character to grow as a character. And again, Davy, Gam, and Tully. Davy Gam ended up being the only good guy in an entire party of bad people. And the setup for this was that I had basically made a Suicide Squad campaign of, you know, if you want to play an evil character for your first time ever playing D&D, I will allow you to do so. And I met Not Your Average Con at, 2-3 sessions in, and I said, yeah, that's cool, let's keep going. And I loved the way he played so much. Obviously, he's sitting at this table almost, what, 2 years later? Yeah. And so, Davy Gam, as a cleric of Tretherian, if you're unfamiliar, Tretherian is a god of justice, freedom, vengeance, and retribution, which means that he does not suffer slavery or oppression in any regard, and he's in the frickin' Underdark. Slavery, oppression, bad things, freedom is not an option. Yeah, he was not having a good time. But it suddenly made it so that Davy Gam shone brighter than anybody else, pun intended because cleric casting daylight,
yes,
in the Underdark, because he ended up being the only good person in a party full of psychotics, greedy backstabbers, long game backstabbers. But what was interesting about Davy and Tully, Davy was chaotic good, but by the end of the campaign, I hadn't realized that, you know, when I read the descriptions again, Davy played lawful good almost the entire time. You know, he played chaotic good insofar as, you know, you played Eldeth. If you've played the Out of the Abyss campaign, you start with 10 NPCs following you around. That is really difficult to DM for, so you DM'd it for what, 6 or 7 people? 8 people by the end.
Yeah.
I'm at 7 from the beginning. If you ever start Out of the Abyss, 4 people. That's it. Don't add any more. If you have to, add 6, but cap it off. You start actually becoming rusty and sometimes even a little jaded or unable to do what you want to do as far as flavor, tone, and story with 7 people. I honestly think that the strongest group is 4 to 6 people.
Yeah, for most situations anyway.
For most situations, absolutely. Unless you're doing free-for-alls, at which point, screw it. So,
Tully and Gam.
Yeah, Tully and Gam. So, Tully was a lawful evil character who did some messed up stuff. You know, we encountered some Dwerger and the party enslaved them. And Davy worked behind the scenes to free them.
But Tully enslaved them not out of greed.
No.
Tully enslaved them for progress.
Yes.
We were more or less trying to start a war, if you will, by all the allies we actually accumulated.
All this many.
Yes. But in order for War Machine to progress, well, we were player characters. We didn't have a kingdom of treasure.
Mm-hmm.
But what we did have was forced labor. So in Tully's eyes, as lawful evil, it was necessary and, in the long run, needed in order to have vast number of forced slavery. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, this didn't rub well with Gam, did it?
Gam actually figured out a way to start freeing slaves. And the thing about Gam and Tully is that Gam never hated Tully. Gam understood the Drow culture just by watching Miali and Tully. He began to understand, and as a chaotic good character, he waited. A chaotic good character that plays the long game is rare, which is why in the end we figured out, oh yeah, he is actually lawful good, because good character or lawful characters play the long game no matter what they are.
Right.
Whereas chaotic characters play for instant gratification. Which is why chaotic neutral so often than not is a very difficult class to play, outside of the people who just want to mess with the DM. We'll touch up on chaotic neutral. It's going to get its own video. But Davy and Tully respected each other, which is very interesting because Davy, as a cleric of a god that really doesn't get along with Lolth, the goddess of the Drow, the demon goddess of the Drow, is fighting alongside one man or elf in this case, that in any other day he would kill.
And vice versa.
Yes. Or, in your case, you probably enslave me, beat me over the head, and say, "Here, you're now my Ottoman."
Yeah.
But Davy and Tully, we didn't trust each other. We didn't like each other. We were not allies. We were not enemies. We were people in a death ground situation. And what a death ground situation is that there is no going back. The only way forward is, the only way out is forward, and you have to all align yourselves to form a spearhead to get out. You have to put aside your differences and be able to form alliances you never would, work together with people you hate, and be able to get out, which I think in any other situation, it never would have worked. So Out of the Abyss is a test to players and DM alike for using the alignment tree well and role-playing.
Well, prime example, Sereth and Malkieth.
Yes, yes. One of the NPCs for Out of the Abyss is another drow named Sereth, and with the second run with Malkieth, his other drow character in Out of the Abyss, I'm noticing a pattern here, they were butting heads the entire time until they saved each other's lives by accident.
Purely by accident. Because if Malkieth, my character at the moment, had his way, he would have just let him die. He would have just, oh, well, it's one less dagger I gotta put in his back. Mind you, he's chaotic good at that point. So chaotic good.
Oh yeah, you do have people for that. You're the Kenku's leash.
That is true.
So I'm the weapon. You just point me in the direction and fire it.
Yeah.
As your your friendly neighborhood DM has just explained, chaotic any alignment, immediate satisfaction. So it would have been in all my right as a chaotic good cleric. Chaotic good cleric. It would have been in all my right to stab Sereth in the back immediately.
Yeah, he's evil.
He's evil. He's in my way.
Mm-hmm.
He is a deterrent to the party in my character's view. But mind you, Sereth is a named NPC. So
it means he's got cards up his sleeve.
Usually does. So when that happens, when you do come across a named NPC, regardless of your alignment outright, it's best to play it towards your alignment, of course, but do it in a way that speaks to your alignment without causing immediate trouble to the party.
Yourself and the party.
Yourself and the party.
And one thing that I think people miss is that self-preservation equals party preservation in many, many instances.
One of the examples that I like to use, in a very general sense, is that you have a mayor. And said mayor is in your way. Now, as lawful evil, I would not immediately assassinate said mayor. No. I need to play the long game here. I need to figure out a way where I can get some type of benefit out of this. It doesn't have to be immediate, but I do need benefit. So, I would go to said mayor's bastardized son.
Healthcare, optical, dental.
Sorry. I need it all. It is true, though. So, instead of going outright toe-to-toe with said mayor, I go to his bastardized son, who doesn't have any claim to the seat, the throne, the manor. I'd go to him, and I would so subtly imply that a coup is necessary, that a coup is in your best interest. Why don't we get rid of your father, and you can actually take the step forward? And I would kind of manipulate the political environment as a lawful evil character to the point where eventually the mayor who's in my way is no longer in my way. And at the same time, I gain an ally in power because his bastard son has now taken his place. And he only took his place because of my evil guidance. Whereas chaotic evil, I need immediate satisfaction. Well, immediate satisfaction, we're all talking to the mayor in his room of audience.
Yeah, and most chaotic evil characters would just run up and stab him in the face.
Right. And the problem with that is...
Are you kidding? His guards are level 10, you idiot!
That's the exact problem that happens.
Yeah,
That is the exact problem that happens.
Yeah, where is the creativity?
Yeah, actually, that is a very good point. Where is the creativity in that?
Mhm.
Well, I'll give you an example of what you can do instead of just running up and stabbing the mayor in the face.
Stabbing it.
What you can do is you can take a side detour down to the kitchens. Start a kitchen fire. The kitchen fire then engulfs the entire kitchen, which then in turn engulfs the entire manor. Now, whether or not the mayor lives or dies by that fire, and mind you, it is an NPC that is named, usually a named NPC if it's a mayor.
Mm-hmm. Archibald Toddington.
You're once again creating chaos. Ergo chaotic, whether it's chaotic evil, good, or neutral. The situation is that the mayor is in your way. So you've created chaos by starting his house on fire. You may not kill the mayor, but you've certainly wounded him in more ways than none. You've probably killed off a good amount of his servants.
Mm-hmm.
You've possibly killed some family members. And you've more than likely put him out of house and home. Now, this is okay for a chaotic individual, regardless of chaotic good, neutral, or evil. Because generally, if you're chaotic good, the mayor's going to be chaotic evil or evil of some sort. That's really the only reason a chaotic good individual would act in this way. But if you're chaotic evil, it really doesn't matter the alignment. He's in your way. So, you've caused the mayor harm. You've caused him grievous harm. And it was an immediate satisfaction. Now, by immediate, I don't mean within 5 minutes of meeting the mayor on the table. I mean immediate within immediate game time play. So within a week, game time. You've gained your immediate satisfaction. And you've gotten him out the way. And you've done it in a way that causes chaos. But more importantly, you haven't caused problems to the party. Because if you did it right, and of course if the dice are with you, no one's the wiser.
Mm-hmm.
That is how you play chaotic evil. But again, the opposite, or close to the opposite, lawful evil is the long game. Hence, the bastardized son starting a political coup. That takes time, but the rewards are greater.
And again, I think that goes back to the lawful evil is the more intelligent, because lawful evil understands patience, my son. And I think that a lot of the lawful characters, I think the difference between lawful characters and chaotic characters, just on a philosophical level, is that lawful characters are patient, more often than not, if you're playing them right. If you're playing a paladin as lawful stupid, don't be playing a paladin.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And honestly, I would not be surprised if your chaotic good party hogtied you and left you in the middle of the forest, because if you're playing lawful stupid, all evil things must be killed, you become a liability. And that's something that I think players don't understand, is that when you start going off on your own tangent, killing random people, just, well, being a jerk, it is within their character's right and roleplay, alignment to leave your bottom behind. Get it? Because you both mean butt. And leave your ass behind. Get it again. So, and move on without you. And if you're salty about that, perhaps you should look into why they did it in the first place. And if you're still salty about it, find a different table. You know, and that's a big difference with, I think, 5th edition, especially with the group that we have. 5th edition is a role-playing game with board game elements, whereas 3.5 and the way some people play certain games, I feel, is a board game with role-play elements. 5th edition is one of the best role-playing editions there is. Take full advantage of it. Just go for it, man. I mean, there's no reason not to. And the thing is about good, again, with the hog tying the lawful stupid character, good is not weak or nice. I play a lot of good characters. My good characters, if you piss them off, my good character will think about it for a moment and figure, is it worth it? Is it worth killing this gentleman? At which point, I look at my party members and say, lawful evil character, I can't believe I'm asking this, but I need a favor.
Oh, really?
Yes. This gentleman has insulted my honor, and with my broken leg and arm from that last fight with the troll, I cannot defend my honor. I need a second.
Oh, I'd be honored. In fact, it would be my absolute pleasure to kill, maim, and absolutely destroy their heart and soul for you.
Oh, no, I don't mean that far. I mean, I need you to go out and find somebody for me.
Oh.
And then, of course, this character turns to the neutral character and says, "Hey, would you like an assassination gig?"
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. and the whole time, the lawful good character's in bed. He wakes up. What the hell did you do?
Nothing. We just have to go now. We just have to go.
Roll the map. Get all the gear. Let's get the hell out. I'm still limping. You asshole. Tensor's floating disc.
Ha.
But more to the point, how does your lawful good characters? How would the lawful good character come across the mayor that is in the way?
If the mayor is in the way, the lawful good character will try to figure out how to get the face of the party, the charisma character, be that the bard or the sorcerer or God forbid the warlock, to convince the mayor in some way, shape, or form. And if the mayor is resolute and cannot be convinced, the lawful good tries to figure out a way to, not necessarily blackmail, but tries to figure out a way to dig up some dirt on the mayor, because he still plays by the rules, and he is good. He is not going to kill the mayor or harm him. He's going to use plausible deniability to hand all that information over to the lawful evil character and let him do something with it. And that's more of a chaotic good character, let's be honest. But a lawful good character, if the mayor's in his way and being a problem, he's going to try to inform the local authorities in some way, shape, or form. He's going to definitely do everything he can to keep his own hide safe, but if it cannot be avoided, I would see one of my characters challenging the mayor to a duel.
Yeah.
You have insulted me, you've slighted my honor, and even if it's charges that he has to embellish with the help from the bard who keeps going for 3 pages longer than the 4 sentences you wanted, you basically say, you have slighted me. I challenge you to a duel.
Which is by the law.
Yes, it is, depending upon the law you're going with. But, if your lawful character says, I want a duel, and the mayor refuses, what has happened is the mayor has then proven that he is a coward. And suddenly the mayor has lost face with everybody. The lawful good character plays by the rules of humiliation. He forces people's hand. The lawful evil character
doesn't wait for the hand.
Yeah, he skins it.
Exactly.
The lawful evil character does not allow them to even have a hand. The lawful good character forces people to play their hands so he knows what he's up against and improvises or adapts.
Well, that's the other thing that we were kind of getting at earlier, was this is a prime situation to go into the role-playing game instead of a role-playing game. You don't just want to make those roles with no in-game justification.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, everybody would be, oh, charisma check.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't make it. You, charisma check.
Yes, and that's the other thing, is I tell you guys, well, I'm going to bardically inspire, okay? I'm going to say a prayer, okay? I'm going to intimidate him, okay? What do you do? How do you say it? How do you say it? What do you say? If you can use a voice, go for it. If you can't, that's fine. But I need to hear you say the words.
Mm-hmm. Because
if you don't say the words, usually I just say, yeah, your check fails. You looked at him. You rolled a nat 20. Your eyes are twinkling like the dying light of 1,000 stars that are going to come and consume his soul. Congratulations, Warlock.
But when you make us say the words, you reinforce our alignment.
Yes.
And that's what's important. Reinforcing in your role play your alignment. So when you do those kinds of checks that require some role play from yourself, that gives you an opportunity to play your alignment.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do it right, you do it correctly. And if you do it correctly, you don't ruin the table's play.
No.
You don't necessarily, it can happen, but you don't necessarily endanger the party.
Well, I mean, realistically, from a alignment standpoint, if you roll, say, an intimidation check, you as a lawful good character would, I don't know, I suppose intimidatingly challenge this person.
Back to the abyss from which you came!
There you go.
Die, heretic. May the God Emperor be praised.
If you're playing 40k.
Whereas my character would probably tie them to a table and start taking fingers.
Yes.
Very different intimidation.
Yeah,
based
I feel
on
like
alignment.
I feel like good is a lot of talk that then backs it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yours just goes black bag, stabby, stabby.
Well, it's a lot of action that
Yes.
speaks for itself.
Yes, you speak with actions. Lawful good speaks first and then acts. Whereas lawful evil, what would you do in that situation?
If an intimidation check into the mayor,
I feel like you dig up all the black men and say, look, do you want this to come out? Because if you don't, you're going to give me what I want now. But that's just me.
that's generally, while lawful good is voice with action, and neutral is immediate action.
Neutral evil.
Yeah, neutral evil. Lawful evil would be more or less, again, long game. It is the ability to not get your hands dirty when absolutely necessary, although one doesn't need to avoid it. It is the ability to manipulate.
Yes.
It is lawful evil's duty to manipulate those around him for his benefit. Those who can't be manipulated die.
Those who cannot be manipulated are obstacles to be removed.
Yeah.
You don't kill them, you just unalive them.
Yeah,
Well,
that's essentially it.
They're victims of an unfortunate accident.
Multiple unfortunate accidents. The building collapsed.
Right, that would be the ideal way to go.
Collateral damage.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be the ideal way to go, to get rid of the obstacle without your hands getting dirty, because, well, I've got better things to do.
Oh, and another lawful evil thing you can do is somebody who you do not like is in a house. So you hire a couple of thugs to burn down the house and stab them as they come out. So the thugs come back to you for payment, and you cast a spell and make them kill each other. Or you just kill them yourself, bring them to the local authorities and say, look, I found the crooks.
Yeah, that would absolutely be it, because you're playing, again, keyword here, long game.
Well, I mean, win-win as well. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, you get the person that you want out of the way, and
And
then
you
you're
get-
collecting a person,
And then you collect the bounty. I didn't even think about that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Versus maybe the chaotic's evil nature towards the intimidation. That would be, again, action before words. Now, chaotic evil versus neutral evil. Neutral evil may show the knife.
Mhm.
Here's the knife, do what I say, or it goes in your throat.
Well, I mean, realistically,
Let's
it is
talk.
action first as opposed to the psychological factor.
Right,
I
so-
suppose.
Psychological factor, I think, belongs to lawful evil.
So
more
maybe
often
it
than
is
not.
it is running up and putting the knife to the
Exactly.
throat.
Mhm.
Chaotic
Exactly.
evil runs up and puts the knife in the hand.
Mhm.
Now, why don't we talk about what we just talked about again?
Yeah. Or I was actually going to say, lawful evil shows the knife. Neutral evil puts the knife to your throat. Chaotic evil puts the knife in your throat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more or less. Yeah, in layman's terms.
And again, lawful good. He has information. Kill him!
He has information.
Ha! Information, you say.
I've been YFNDM. This is Not Your Average Con and the Architect. Thank you for listening. Hope to see you next time.